Welcome to the newest edition of Geek Classic, the series of videos where I look back into films that I have never reviewed on my channel that I adore, and since Alien Covenant is coming out in the next week, I decided to talk about my favorite horror film of all time, Alien. It was directed by Ridley Scott and written by Dan O'Bannon, and it stars Sigourney Weaver, Ian Holm, Tom Skerritt, among others, and this is about a merchant vessel who is going back to Earth, but soon they find out a distress call from a moon, and as soon as they land in there, they are attacked by a mysterious life form, only to realize that once back in the ship, that mysterious life form's life cycle has just begun. As I said, this is my favorite horror film of all time. I remember when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I found a VHS in my living room. My parents were up on their bedroom, and I decided to put the VHS on the VHS player. And I was scared shitless. Because this film, to this day, probably has the most effective and most beautiful and most scary alien creature ever designed. By H.R. Giger, or H.R. Giger, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, this creature and just about everything in this set design and the production design of this film is just immaculate. Nothing looks wrong, and all around the set of this film is just incredible. This looks like such a real environment as you see that this crew is going back to Earth after their mission and they find a distress call and whatever. This ship is not clean. This ship is not polished. People have lived in here. People have worked in here. People have had missions aboard this ship. Everything looks so real. Every detail of this ship is real, and it feels like you could live in there. I don't know why you would want to live in there, but you would wish you live in there because it looks so real. That's the point. But the alien itself as well is so awesome and even gorgeous, I'll call it. I love the skeleton designs that it has. I love also the cerebral designs that it has. It features many bone-like and organ-like structures throughout from head to toe, and H.R. Giger's design was just so well thought out. So much talent put into this, and to this day, I don't think, in my opinion, there is a creature that comes close to this. But now to the movie itself. How Ridley Scott directs this film is so well thought out. He clearly wants to make you feel like you are in this ship with his characters. But he does not only feed off of characters to make you feel that. He cuts away not too fast, not too slowly. He lets you sink in how this ship is, where each door comes in, where each curve comes in, where each hall ends and begins, and he just puts that into motion right as this movie begins. If I remember correctly, there's about 1, maybe 2 cuts in the beginning sequence, if not 0 cuts. I believe this initial sequence of the film before even the crew wakes up is a one-shot take, and it is beautiful. But as the movie goes along and we have the crew trying to survive against this mysterious creature that they don't know what it looks like, they don't know how it works, they don't know what they gotta do to beat this creature and to survive, but they try to do so, and how Ridley Scott moves the camera along, it doesn't let you breathe. This movie has little breathing room for you, and it does that expertly. Whenever someone dies, whenever someone is looking at the alien, you are always focused on the characters. Why? Because that's how good horror works. Because you live with these characters. You are there with these characters. You are as scared as these characters. For instance, when Brett dies and he's taken up by the alien and the crew gets there, they're investigating, you immediately cut to Parker and he's reacting. When Ash is revealed to be a robot and you have this new threat in the film, why he wanted the alien to survive, because he admires it and he admires its purity, you get close-ups of the characters reacting to this reveal. You get the reactions of the characters, always. And also, whenever someone dies, you don't see the deaths. When the very first person in this film dies, it is symbolic and crucial to how the rest of the film works. And Ridley Scott knew that. We have the iconic chestburster scene, and just this scene represents so much vulnerability and so much fear that is instilled to the characters and to us, the audience. The fact that this creature can go into you, impregnate you with itself, and then be born out of you It's such a depravity and an invasion of privacy to a level that is undescribable in my words. But immediately because of this, you don't need to see the deaths themselves in the film. If this small creature can come out of you and kill you because it is feeding on you from the inside, and then it gets big, why do you need to see the deaths? You don't. That's the answer, and Ridley Scott knew that. Whenever you are in with these characters, you are living this danger with these characters, you are inside the Nostromo with these characters, and then as soon as you see the creature, you know that they're fucked. You know that they are going to die. So you don't need to see that. You just need to see how the paranoia grows inside the rest of the people that are alive. And about the characters, I love how you cannot say who's the main character until about an hour into the film. You got Sigourney Weaver, Ripley, of course, we all know she's the main character. She follows the rules by the book. She is a straight arrow, she doesn't break the rules. Even the Captain Dallas, he's a guy who can break the rules. Even when John Hurt is infestated with this facehugger and they want to bring him into the ship, Ripley says, no, we can't. But they do, eventually, and until the very climax of the film, you see how little she breaks the rules. You know who she breaks the rules for? The cat, Jones. In every way possible, that is a relatable feeling. That is a relatable sentiment. You would, most likely, break the rules for your pet, because you feel attached, because we as human beings normally feel attached to pets, to animals, to the most innocent creatures alive. But not only that, from the very beginning in their first dinner scene, we can see how these people are just regular people. Sure, you got a scientist, you got a captain, you got a mechanic, but these are real people. These are blue-collar people just talking about their work, talking about what they will gain from this job, how they're going to get paid by the company. And then eventually, that also gets twisted around because Ash is a fucking robot. Ash is the evil that doesn't let them get home. Why? Because it wants this creature to win. That is as effective as HAL 9000. And Ian Holm portrays this character so well. That is not going to be possible, but try to show this to a friend without them knowing that Ash is a robot. And then go back to the film and watch it with the knowledge that Ash is a robot. It changes a lot in the perception of this film. There are lots of times where the camera is just panning around to the characters and it goes by Ash just looking on, just analyzing the other characters. But you can see for most of the movie, he's the quiet guy. He's just there to help around. If anything, he's the most expendable of the crew. And in the film, he's not even one that is killed by the alien. As soon as you know that Ash is a robot and you go back and watch the rest of the film, you can just see how he's analyzing all the characters, all their reaction, all their thought process and decision making. And it just feeds so much into how genius this film is. Accompanying what I said a little bit ago about how you don't need to see the deaths, Ridley Scott also knew that not only were his characters great, was his environment great, his set design immaculate, but he knew that he didn't need to show the alien that much. The alien is not in the movie a lot. It maybe has 15 minutes of screen time, and that is it. Because Ridley Scott knew that his characters were the most important piece of this puzzle, because he wanted you to be there with these characters. And throughout the film, he works for that, and he gains that, because he deserves that. And it's such a rewarding feeling by the end, where Ripley is finally at peace, and she still then finds that the alien is there on the shuttle with her, with Jones, and she has to physically finally fight directly with this creature and expel it from the ship to try and survive. I don't need to tell you how perfect this movie is. Both visually, the sound design, the score by Jerry Goldsmith is absolutely fabulous. Alien is to this day one of the greatest, bar none, science fiction films ever made. It is my favorite horror film ever made. I think it is the best horror film ever made. Ridley Scott proves what a great filmmaker he is. And of course, Alien. It is the stuff that dreams are made of. What do you think of Alien, my beautiful geekies? Do you like it? Do you not? Do you love it? Is it your favorite science fiction or horror film of all time? Do you like this more than Aliens? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, as you go down there, go join the beautiful Geeky Community Facebook group. The link is in the description, and I'm so happy to have returned with Geek Classic. I miss this so much, and to you, my geekies, thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. This week, I have reviews for you, do not worry. I have King Arthur, Their Finest, and Song to Song, so I'll see you all there, and until those reviews, you stay beautiful, and you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell, so we can be geeky united!